Welcome to the Olivia Gamber podcast, a place where you unlock your maximum potential while living aligned. Here we dive deep into strategies, stories, and insights that will evolve and expand your mind and spirit. If you're ready to live an exceptional life, then I encourage you to stay committed to this transformational journey and be sure to tune in every week.
Welcome back to another episode of the Olivia Gamber podcast, where we're all about achieving high performance, high level success while also living aligned. And that alignment with our values, with our authentic self, is really rocket fuel. And it's what brings more fulfillment to our life, to our energy, to our soul, to our spirit, to our drive. And so today's episode is really all about how to stand out in competitive markets. And I talk to people every day, whether they're looking to, you know, reinvent themselves, change careers, start a business, enter a new market. The number one thing they ask me is, Olivia, I get it, I see it, but how do I stand out from everybody else that's doing this? And this is one of the biggest blocks that keeps people from even pursuing a path because they already assume there's already too many people who've done it. There's already too many people that have that type of business. There's already too many people that are posting content or that have a podcast or insert whatever that may be, right? And so I'm going to share my insight from helping people not only pivot careers, reinvent themselves, create a new business, and land clients, and do so consistently. Because at the end of the day, when you know what you want to do and you're not doing it because you assume you're not worthy and that you're not able to compete in the market, it's the most devastating thing because you find yourself settling for a life that does not light you up, does not spark you. And here's the thing, if there's no growth, there's no challenge, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So we're all about taking the path that is going to ignite that spark in you. And so the first step to standing out in a competitive market is really simple. You've got to change your mindset about it and not, I hope I can succeed, but I'm committed to succeeding. And there's a very big difference between those two mindsets because I see the most talented people come to the table and say, I really hope that I can get to this outcome, or I really hope this works. And I go, no, you've lost before you started. You've lost before you started because hope is not a strategy. Hope is not commitment. Hope is not a plan. And hope is certainly not conviction and belief in yourself and where you're going. So you want to be really careful to the language that you use and that you speak about when you're talking or even thinking about your goals, because you're either reinforcing a belief that it's happening or you're reinforcing a belief that it's not happening. But 80% of success is just showing up. And so this is where it all starts, with that belief and that decision, because it's the committed who keep showing up. It's the committed who always find a way. It's the committed who are all in for the journey, not just the destination. It's the committed who fall in love with the process and love the game that they're playing. The uncommitted were only doing it for quick money. The uncommitted wanted the clout. The uncommitted choose their limiting beliefs. They choose their circumstances. They choose scarcity. They choose fear, and they continue to stay stagnant. But the committed always find a way because they keep showing up. And one of the things that I learned is you can go into a market and be totally blue ocean territory, meaning it's a novel idea, you're the first to do it. And actually, when that's the case, you run more risk to fail because people aren't ready for it. There's no reference for it. And I've seen this with some new age spiritual products I've started to launch. People just weren't ready for it. They weren't ready to grasp it. They weren't ready to understand it. They weren't quite even ready to pay for it. And so being in a blue ocean territory can be more challenging, but what there's always room for is existing markets evolving and innovating and improving how a service or product is being delivered to an existing market. There's always room for that. There's always room for someone to bring new perspective, new energy, new ways of operating to improve organization. So a lot of this can be spun to your advantage. I talk to a lot of people that are like, I've been all over the place in my career. I've been a consultant. I've seen everything. And now I feel like they're not valuing my experience because I'm not a specialist. And then I tell them, well, no, that's actually an advantage because you're bringing all this diverse knowledge and best practices across industry, across company size that you can now bring to one organization. There's so much value there. And so a lot of the times we try to water down what we are, who we are, and that's actually our competitive advantage because there is no one else that can do it like we do with our energy, our creative flow, our presence. And so when you start to really own everything you are, and not just like the hard skills, but who you are as a person, what you value, the energy, the presence, the perspective you bring, and why that's different, and how you can be able to express through you something unique. And here's the truth, like everything's already been said, everything's already been done, especially in business, right? Everyone's kind of copying each other, everybody's kind of putting their own spin on it. But if you go back to any like great communicator, great thought leader, they're all still recycling old stuff from hundreds of years ago and really ancient principles. But that doesn't take away from their ability to drive change and be effective because what they're doing is taking that information and translating it through their own personal voice and experience and their lens and their language and their unique energy. And so that's your essence, that's your brand, that's your energy signature, and no one can do it or say it like you. And the more you start to appreciate the intricacies of your identity, the more you start to shine and really own it all and truly owning your value because it's one thing to need to convince and seek validation. It's another thing to come from a place of knowing that I have so much to offer. I have so much value and they need me. That's when you know you've done the inner work because this is what we talk about every day at Career Evolved. It's one thing to logically know your value. It's one thing to know your worth intellectually, analytically, based on data you found online and research. It's another thing to become the person that can truly command that value. It's two different people. And so it's a level of conviction and knowing and embodiment that you're able to take up that space. And you're not questioning if you're an imposter. And you're not questioning if you're qualified. And you're not wondering if you can do it. Because at the end of the day, whether you're buying services, product, and everything, the person's buying certainty in the outcome. They're buying certainty in how they're going to feel after investing in you. And so your ability to provide that certainty, to provide that experience, to get them to experience that value, your ability to trust yourself that of course you can get this done and of course you can deliver. Your ability, your self-trust and conviction in your value and your capacity is what ultimately commands the value. And you can't fake energy. You can't fake certainty. You have to do the inner work to build the belief and trust in yourself. And sometimes you do need to build the skill as well. So the real question, though, is so many people out there, it's not even a qualification or competence problem. It's a belief problem. It's a self trust problem. It's a self worth problem. And it's a lack of willingness to bet on yourself. And so by playing it safe, you're choosing to stay stagnant. And by playing safe, you're choosing to sleep on your potential because it's on that other side of that fear, on the other side of that expansion of you pushing through that resistance is where the growth lies. And that's the growth journey, that's the growth mindset. And so starting to move away from needing to be safe and avoiding rejection or failure is causing so many people to sleep on themselves and to stay stagnant. Now, the third way, so the first way to stand out is just showing up. Most people don't show up. And 80% of success is simply showing up and putting the reps in because there's so much demand. There's an abundance of opportunity. There's an abundance of income potential if you're willing to show up and create it, period, and add value. Second, be you, own it all because no one can do it like you in the way that you do it. Your authentic presence, your story, your energy, that's what makes it unique. It's you. Because you can have two actors read the same script and it'll come out as a completely different movie with two different people because they have different ways of delivering and communicating. And so the third is relationships matter more than qualifications. And this is a tough pill for people to swallow, but this is so true, especially as you move up to the upper echelons in business and career. Everyone's qualified, everyone's great. There's a lot of people, plenty of people could do the job, right? But it's that connection, it's that rapport, it's that alignment that opens the door. And it's your ability to be attuned and to resonate and be relevant that not only captures attention, but keeps that attention. So being really in tune to those contextual variables of language and really specific on understanding your audience and understanding what moves them emotionally, what keeps them up at night, what do they really care about, what causes do they stand behind. And I think that so many people have lost the emotional intelligence to connect because as we went through COVID and now with the growth of AI, it's like so many people are just using robots to spam the internet, to automate everything. And we've lost the art of actually forming genuine connection. And so when you can actually focus on serving that human in front of you with no attachment, but understanding them and their needs and prioritizing them over what you need, you will create not only an emotional experience, but you're going to create so much demand because of how you make people feel. And that's marketing, that's branding, right? Especially if you're a premium product, right? So if you're a Bentley, you don't need to sell a Bentley. You just need to sit inside that Bentley, feel that experience, see the stars on the ceiling. It sells itself because it's not about the pitch. It's about the emotional experience. And I think that's a lost art because so many people have become disconnected and isolated, and they forgot the importance of that connection. And I'm going to read a quote. I have it above my desk here, but it's really stuck with me and helped me to form such great relationships strategically, business, but also to grow my company. And it was through conversations, I grew my company conversation at a time and being able to train that skill to provide that emotional experience focused on service that really allowed me to not only blow up my career early on, but also my business. So I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that's Maya Angelou. So again, people are going to forget what you've said, they'll forget what you did, but it's how you made them feel is what's gonna stick in their subconscious, what's gonna resonate when they see your email come by again. And so many people have gotten, especially in business, especially in career, it's just transactional, quid pro quo. Here's what I do. Do you need this? Do you wanna buy chicken? Do you wanna buy chicken? Do you wanna buy chicken? And they lose the emotional connection and the ability to really win the hearts and minds of people before they go for the wallet. And they aren't taking the time because they're too busy operating in a fight or flight scarcity mode of, "I gotta get there, I gotta get there, I gotta get there, I gotta get there." And the more you focus on your needs and your timeline, the more you're actually emitting the energy of scarcity. People can feel when you need them more than they need you. And there's also a unique feeling when somebody leads with service. It's incredibly rare. And leading with service is, what's your priority? How can I serve? What are you working on? What's your biggest challenge right now? And really making your world and focusing on that person and making them the center of your universe, because that type of presence, that type of attunement, that type of care and concern is such an experience that cannot be faked, because when you're not attached to an outcome, you can focus on what serves that other person. And when you focus on what serves that other person, you're naturally in a position to influence them. And this is a basic influence principle. It's based off the law of reciprocity, right? When you show up giving and in that abundance mindset, detached from any outcome, I'm just here to discover your needs and whether I can serve them or if somebody else can, if I'm not the right fit. But there's this level of detachment and casual nature and calmness versus someone that's pushing and steering an agenda of a conversation. That's two completely different experiences. And so, what I've seen over and over again, and I've experienced it so many times that I know that this is the biggest thing. I've literally had conversations about the Knicks basketball, team for, 20 minutes and 10 minutes about business, and I closed a deal because they already were bought in. And when you know your worth and you know your value, you're there to make it fun. People wanna do business with people they like. People wanna do business with people that align with them and their interests, that it's gonna be fun. They're associating you with fun. Who doesn't want to blend work and play? That's like the best of both worlds, right? How can we make it more fun? And so that's a question I used to put, because I used to be so down to business. I would just get right into it, right into the meeting. I would skip rapport altogether because I just didn't have the time for it. And now I'm like, hold on, let's take our time. Let me get to know who I'm dealing with. Tell me about your family. Where are you from? What drives you? What motivates you? What makes you tick? Where are we aligned? Where can I truly connect with you? And I'm always genuinely looking for something to love in that other person, because my rule of thumb is, if I can't find that alignment, I can't find that connection, I don't want to do business. Whether it's career or business, doesn't matter. I have a no asshole policy. So if I can't find something to connect on, something to fall in love with that person, it's not gonna work anyway, so I've learned not to force it. But when you take the time to genuinely connect and seek that connection out, you're truly honoring that human in front of you, and you're making them feel so cared for, so seen, so heard. And when you do that, you become the only viable solution, because not only that, yes, competence matters. Yes, mastery matters. You need to know what you're talking about, but it's rapport and connection that opens the door, and showing up authentically to build that connection. And you can't fake connection. you can fake rapport, but it's just not gonna feel the same for both parties. The the 4th way to stand out in competitive markets is to be really clear and specific about the value that you offer. I think so many people try to be everything to everyone because they think that that's gonna be what creates opportunity. They think that if I just focus on this one area, that I'm gonna be missing out on so much opportunity, and that's actually the opposite, because when you start to be everything to everyone, you look desperate, you look like you'll do anything for money, and you look like you're not mastering any one path. You also look like you're not focused, and it's a lower competence trigger. So what I've found is it's actually best to get really focused on who you serve and how you wanna serve them, and be really clear and concise. So many people think they need to have this, like, crazy, amazing, unique way of talking about what they do to brand themselves to be really clever, but then they confuse the market because people have a really short attention span, and the attention spans are only getting shorter and shorter. And especially high level people, they have the attention span of a fly. So it's actually better to be digestible and clear than trying to be clever. And I see this all the time. People use all these buzzwords. They try to go in the weeds and make things so complicated and get to the scientific facts with the charts and all the buzzwords and all the complicated systems involved. And they lose attention fast because they're not making it easy to digest that message. And especially if it's new information, especially if you're trying to educate somebody on their problem, you've gotta meet people where they're at. And some of that can be really tough. I know for me as a creative, my value proposition for Career Evolved can be really boring and basic. I help top tier leaders evolve into the next level of success. And it's really simple, super broad, and it can resonate with a lot of people, but it's not necessarily anything groundbreaking and unique. It's just the entry point for the conversation to correctly categorize me. It's not even to pitch. It's to get relevance and engage people in how you can add value. And I think so many people are trying to be unique and different that they literally confuse their message by trying to be clever. So be clear, be concise. It's not like having that unique message is going to be the thing. It's about you showing up as you and how you're showing up with that energy in that service mindset that creates the demand. The magic is in you, not in any specific tactic. And I think that's where so many people get caught up in the weeds of the tactical and doing the perfect message and the perfect action in the perfect or right way, when really there is no right or wrong. It's all subjective. So, really, what's going to be most sustainable is to be clear and authentic to where you can add value and starting conversations in that place, because that's how you're going to create demand, because people can feel your genuine passion about talking about that topic. And if you start conversations around not only where you can add value, but also where you're passionate, there's no way you can lose because you love the game and people can feel that energy. And passion is like the one thing that differentiates people because you can't fake passion. And it's like everyone's done it all, everyone's said it all, but not everyone can show up with that genuine fire and that genuine, intensity and really caring about what they do. And that's a love of the game you play. And I always tell people, I'm like, listen, if you don't love the game you play, you're disrespecting the game and you're disrespecting yourself. So, the most honestly, the best thing you could do for yourself and for your own competitive advantage in your career or business is to pick a game that you love and that you're obsessed with mastering, not just the path that you think is the fastest money, because you won't make it. You'll burn out. you'll run out of steam because you're waiting for the money to fuel you when really you need to allow that process to fuel you because that's what creates the value. And that consistency is what creates the value. Again, 80% of success is just showing up. And so the last thing is be focused. That's the key to standing out in one market. Stay focused on where you thrive. Do less better. So many people try to throw a ton of things out there, see what sticks, and they get nothing. You've gotta get locked in and fail fast. Test, iterate, but split focus gets split results. If you're trying to ride 2 horses at once, or worse, 3 or 4, you're likely not getting anywhere because there's no reps down one path and you're not building awareness around one message. So you're just confusing the market and you're confusing yourself because you don't know where you wanna put your weight to bear. And when you can channel your energy on one hill and go all in on that hill, you're gonna be that much more successful. And I've seen this over and over again over the last decade, helping high achieving professionals to really break into new markets and really start to get that traction. So if you've made it this far and you are looking to take your talents and launch a business, get clients, whether it's on the side or going all in on that business, I encourage you to book a call with me. And you can do so at www.careerevolved.com/business. And again, that's www.careerevolved.com/business. And on this 1 hour call, what I'm going to do with you is dissect your background, what your gaps are, what your potential business offers could be, and just assess, one, can I help you? Two, do I think you're ready for this journey? And if not, I will certainly leave you with clarity and next steps. I've seen it all. I've built and scaled 2 companies now. So it's not for everyone. It really isn't. But if there's that alignment and if you're ready to create more freedom and really own your brand and push yourself past your fear and really see what's possible, then I would encourage you to book a call and let's see what could potentially be made of this because there's so many people out there that are making more money with more freedom, working less hours by simply owning their value and owning their brand and driving that forward and creating offers that are in high demand. So that's what we do all day, every day in our Launch to Profit program. And we are looking for people that are ready for this journey. So I would love to connect with you. And if you enjoyed the episode and you know somebody that's kind of like on the fence with wanting to stand out with their career, with their business, and they feel like everybody's done everything and they're just kind of knocking the winds out of their sail before they started, share this episode with them. I want to help more people get out of their head and get in the game. But I will see you guys next week. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Olivia Gamber podcast, your hub for transformation to unlock your maximum potential while living aligned. Remember, it's not just about dreaming, it's about doing. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with someone who needs it, and keep showing up for yourself. Until next time, stay bold, stay brilliant, and in alignment with who you really are.